Hey everybody, today we are going to talk to you about some hip mobility in a pigeon pose specifically. So I'm Tori, if we haven't met yet. I'm a yoga instructor. This is my friend Michael. He's a mobility specialist. So I notice a lot in classes that people have very tight hips, trouble getting into a pigeon pose, whether it's at the beginning or the end of class. So Michael's going to talk us through some stuff that will help to get that joint ready and prepped for pigeon.
So we're going to go through a couple things. The first is exploring the entirety of your hips available range. And then the second part, we're going to go through how to expand the available range to make it more usable for yoga poses like a pigeon. So to start, we're going to go through a hip controlled articular rotation. We're going to abbreviate that as CARS. So we have hip CARS. We're going to start in a side lying position. So Tori, go ahead and lie down on your side.
Okay.
Those hips and knees will be at 90 degrees. Put those arms out straight so that they're not in the way. Now hips and knees are at 90 degrees and we're training your top leg here. The most important thing when we do CARS or anything is that we keep everything pain-free. CARS will serve three purposes. They will assess your joint's preparedness. So if you have any pain, we want to back off range of motion. They will maintain the health of the joint, and they will prepare your joint to perform whatever yoga poses that you have coming in your class. So we're going to go through some controlled articular rotations from a side lying position, starting with this top hip. So Tori, go ahead and lock down every other joint in your body. The low back is not moving, shoulders, neck are not moving, keeping the knee at 90 degrees, and bring this top knee close to your chest. Once you found that in-range hip flexion, open the gate, lifting that knee toward the ceiling. Now, roll that thigh into a reverse hacky sack position and reach back as if you're going to kick a soccer ball, and now begin swooping those knees together. We've just performed half a rep. We're going to reverse it to complete the rep. Kick the leg back. Open the gate, and you're going to feel a roadblock in your hip. You have to unwind around it, pulling the knee to armpit, pulling the knee to chest, and the knee swoops back to knee. We're going to go through two more reps on this side. So knee to chest, open the gate, reverse hacky sack. Keep that low back silent as you reach back, and then begin swooping knees together. Excellent, excellent, and kick back. Open gate. Roadblock, ring out, knee to armpit, knee to chest, knee to knee. One more rep here. Knee to chest, keeping that low back silent, open the gate, reverse hacky sack, reach back, wind up that thigh tight, and begin swooping knees together. Last half rep here, kick back, open the gate, feel that roadblock in your hip, ring out around it, pulling knee to armpit, knee to chest, and knee to knee. Excellent. Tori, go ahead and set up in your pigeon position.
Okay.
So one of the things that we find is people who are restricted in their pigeon position. So what I want to do is break down the specific joint prerequisites that give you the degrees of freedom to achieve certain positions. Now, Tori here is a yoga instructor, so she has a crazy amount of flexibility. Obviously, not everyone, myself included, is going to look exactly like Tori in the pigeon pose. So you see how her shin is flat on the floor, her thigh is flat on the floor, she doesn't have anything crazy going on with her low back. Tori meets the prerequisites to achieve a pretty good pigeon position. Now, Tori, show us the position of some of the people you see in class who may not be quite as flexible as you are. They may be up a little higher, they can't quite get all the way down to the floor. So what I want you to notice about her front hip here is that it's in some amount of external rotation. So if you want to think about external rotation, think about a hacky sack position for your hip. A lot of people who struggle with pigeon poses are restricted in hip external rotation. So I'm going to take you through a brief exercise that can expand the usable external rotation in your hip, that's going to give you a better hip in general and give you more degrees of freedom to use in pigeon. So Tori, go ahead and slide to that side of the mat.
Okay.
So we've done your yoga positions. Now we're gonna do some of my positions
Okay.
that make your yoga poses better.
Okay.
Meet me in a 90-90 position. So in this 90-90 position, Tori and I both have our right legs forward. And here's what's important with our 90-90 is that we have your thigh directly in line with that bony prominence in your pelvis. And then with your trail leg, your thigh is directly out to the side. The knee is at exactly 90 degrees here, the knee is at exactly 90 degrees here. So you have 90 trail knee, 90 between the legs, 90 front knee. Now, if this is a restricted position for you, then you can prop down on an elbow, you can bring that chest forward. If you feel pretty comfortable in this position, you can challenge it more by having a more upright torso. But most people who are restricted in pigeon are gonna be somewhat restricted in this position. So we're gonna train to expand the usable external rotation in this front hip here. Now first we're gonna find a stretch. So the way we're gonna find a stretch here is by pressing up on our hands. Now, I want you to tilt your pelvis into an Instagram booty position as you arch that low back. And then set your hips back down on the floor as you maintain that anterior pelvic tilt, the Instagram booty position. What you'll find is when you tilt that pelvis forward, you create a deeper stretch in that hip joint because we're moving the femur and the pelvis away from one another. Now, we want to keep that rib cage up tall. Pretend that there's a string in your chest that's pulling you up and out at 30, 45 degrees. And then slightly shift those shoulders forward. So at this point, you should have a pretty significant stretch in the outside backside of that trail hip. This is that external rotation stuff that restricts a lot of people in pigeon. So now that we've found the stretch, we're gonna do some strength training for the hip. We're gonna train the rotational component of the joint. And the way we'll do this is by maintaining stretch the whole time. That's tricky because as I ask you to contract stuff, you're gonna wanna lose your stretch because you'll feel stronger. But I'm specifically training you in your weakest range of motion. So keep your stretched out position, glue the knee into the floor so the knee's never popping up. Now, at 20% effort, begin driving the outside of your ankle into the floor, so that if the floor were not in the way, you would be moving from this hacky sack position into a reverse hacky sack position. Now I want you to ramp up from 20% to 40, and at this point you should feel this stretched out hip stuff starting to work. 40% ramping to 60, and if I tried to pick up Tori's ankle off the floor, I can't because she's driving into the floor, leaving a dent in that mat. Ramp up to 80% effort, and now your safest, greatest effort. Remember, we're always pain-free. So if you experience pain, discomfort, you can just back off your intensity. And I want you to hold this intensity for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, don't let me move you, 2, and keep your position, maintain your stretch, slowly ramp down that contraction. Now here's the challenging part. Keep the knee glued down, and give me a credit card of space between your ankle and the floor by pulling that hip into more external rotation. If you can't move, it's okay. I want you using the stuff that would move you if you could. If you can't find anything, like your brain can't get in the stuff that's trying to rotate you, you can kickstand out some to take away some of that in-range demand.
Oh my goodness.
And now we're gonna maybe have a little bit of lift off here. You get some, yeah, so we have a credit card of hover here. I could be really mean and press down and say, don't let me move you for 5, 4, 3, 2, keep your position, slowly relax, reclaim that stretch.
Fire.
And this is something that's really good to do for 2 or 3 reps at a time. And then we're gonna close out with some more hip cars. So, Tori, back on your side.
Okay. Whoa.
And obviously we're training one side, so you can just go through this sequence again on the opposite side. 2 to 3 reps of those contractions where you're driving on the floor and then lifting off the floor and bookend it with hip cars.
Okay.
So remember, the low back is completely silent and we're pulling knee to chest. Open the gate. reverse hacky sack, reach back. Don't let that hip hike up into your armpit. Good. And sweep those knees together.
It's just like yoga. There's so much to be mindful of all at once.
And you're kicking back. Open the gate. Find that roadblock, ring out. Knee to armpit, knee to chest, knee to knee. And we'll do one more here. Knee to chest. Open the gate. Reverse hacky sack, reach back. Wind up that thigh tight and swoop knees together. And kick back. Open gate, roadblock, ring out, knee to armpit, knee to chest, knee to knee. Awesome job, Tori.
Oh my goodness. That was so helpful for me.
So if you're someone who is super restricted in certain yoga poses, what we need to do is identify the deficits in the specific joints required for the pose. In today's case, we're restricted in pigeon, so we specifically trained hip external rotation to create more degrees of freedom in the joint to make pigeon a little more accessible. All right, thanks, Tori.
Thank you. So y'all, this was super helpful. This is definitely something like I'm craving a pigeon pose now for that. Or if you're well versed in yoga, you could take a Gomukhasana, knee stacked on top of knee, or double pigeon, shin on shin. But that heated that joint up so well and got it so ready for that opening. So I hope this was helpful to y'all. It certainly was helpful to me. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.